We are counting down the 8 most revealing truths about Tesco ready meals, from the hidden salt bombs and ultra-processed ingredient lists to questionable supplier practices and promotional tricks you have probably overlooked. Our investigation pulls back the curtain on what recalls, nutrition targets, and product changes mean for your health and your wallet. Some entries highlight urgent safety warnings. Others expose how value is engineered to fool your eye and your budget. We will break down the exact dangers to avoid, and we will show you what to buy instead. Which Tesco meal sets the benchmark for safer choices, and which ones top the risk charts. Let us reveal the full ranking, starting with number 8. Tesco's plain roast chicken breast with vegetables stands out for what it leaves out, not just what it puts in. Where most ready meals come with a long list of sauces, stabilizers, and flavor enhancers, this one keeps it simple. Chicken breast, a mix of vegetables, a dash of oil and seasoning, usually no more than 8 ingredients in total. The salt content lands between 0.6 to 0.9 grams per portion, well below the red zone flagged by nutrition advocates and far under the average for supermarket-ready meals. There is no thickener, no emulsifier, and no artificial flavor system. Instead, chicken is the first ingredient, making up at least 3/4 of the meal. The vegetables are listed by name: broccoli, carrots, green beans, peas, not as a generic veg mix. On the back label, the allergen box is clear and easy to spot. For this line, there is usually nothing in bold, and the only caution is a standard note about possible traces from the factory. That is a key safety detail for anyone with allergies, and it is something that is missing or muddled on too many other ready meals. The ingredient list is short enough that you can scan it in seconds. No hidden dairy, no surprise soy, and nothing you need a chemistry degree to decode. By sticking to the basics, a single protein, plain veg, minimal seasoning, this meal avoids the traps that push others into higher risk territory. It is not ultra-processed by the Nova system. It sits at Group 3 or lower, meaning it is simply cooked, not engineered. Action on Salt surveys confirm it as one of the lowest salt options on the shelf. There is no recent recall or allergen scare linked to this product, and the nutrition panel is straightforward: high protein, low fat, modest calories. For shoppers looking for a safer shortcut, this is what a benchmark ready meal looks like: short ingredient list, salt under 1 gram, and a clear allergen line. This is the baseline for judging what comes next. Tesco's Clubcard discounts and meal deal offers shape what lands in millions of shopping baskets each week. The numbers on the shelf look unbeatable: 3 ready meals for £8.50, or a main, snack, and drink bundled for less than the cost of a single takeaway. But behind the yellow tags and digital prompts, the real value story is harder to spot. Multi-week price tracking reveals a pattern. The meals most often included in Clubcard or meal deal promotions tend to deliver 20 to 25% more salt per pound spent than comparable fresh or premium alternatives. Salt is not the only hidden cost. Many promoted meals also offer less protein per pound, relying on bulkier sauces or cheaper fillers to keep the price low and the pack weight up. For example, a Clubcard meal deal chicken tikka might clock in at 2.5 grams of salt for £2.83, while a non-promoted finest version at £4.50 delivers lower salt per meal and more visible protein, even if the ticket price is higher. The psychology is powerful. Clubcard pricing and bundled deals reset what feels like a good buy. The lowest sticker price becomes the anchor, even when the nutrition panel tells a different story. Convenience math does the rest. A meal, snack, and drink in one grab-and-go offer feels like a win, even if it means more salt and less real food for your money. Promotions rotate every week, making it nearly impossible to compare nutrition per pound over time. Premium lines, which often have shorter ingredient lists and better protein content, rarely appear in these deals. Instead, the same handful of value and mid-range meals cycle through, reinforcing the sense that the cheapest route is the best. There is a quick way to check the real value. Divide the salt or protein number on the back label by the price on the shelf. If you are getting more than a gram of salt per pound, or less than X grams of protein per pound, that deal is not as healthy or as cheap as it looks. Clubcard and meal deal psychology keeps riskier meals in heavy rotation, not because they are the best, but because they are engineered to look like the best buy. Tesco's finest gluten-free. Mac and cheese draws the eye with bold front of pack claims. Gluten-free and finest sit in large type, flanked by a premium badge. At first glance, it feels like the safest pick on the shelf, a comfort dish made accessible for people with celiac disease or anyone avoiding wheat. But the impression of health stops at the packaging. Turn the pack over and the ingredient list stretches to nearly 20 items, including stabilizers, emulsifiers, and 3 different types of cheese powder. Modified starch, xanthan gum, and assorted E-numbers appear alongside the expected pasta and cheese. For a dish that should be simple, the recipe reads like a chemistry set. Salt is the standout concern. Despite the finest label and the gluten-free promise, this mac and cheese clocks in at over 2 grams of salt per serving. More than a third of the NHS recommended daily maximum for adults. Action on Salt 2025 audit flagged this very product for its unexpectedly high sodium, placing it among the worst offenders in the so-called health or free from category. Nutritionists point out that while the meal avoids gluten, it leans heavily on processed additives to recreate the right texture and flavor. By the NOVA system, this is a Group 4 ultra-processed food, not a home-style bake. Many shoppers trust gluten-free or high-protein badges as shortcuts for healthy eating, but these front-of-pack cues can mask what is really inside. The safest habit is to check the full ingredient list and the salt proportion, especially on meals that look clean or premium at first glance. If the label reads like a science experiment, or the salt per serving is above 1.5 grams, the health halo does not hold. In a crowded aisle, marketing can mislead, but the back label never lies. Tesco's cheesy pasta bake was once a staple of the value range. Now, it tells a quiet story of shrinkflation that is easy to miss until you line up old and new packs side by side. A few years ago, the standard single-serve tray weighed 400 grams. Today, most versions come in at 350 grams, with some still labeled 400 grams, but padded out with more sauce and less substance. That is a 12% drop in weight for the same shelf presence, and the price per gram has crept up by around 15% since 2022. Ingredient lists from archived packaging reveal another part of the story. Cheese, once the headline act, now sits lower in the ingredient order, replaced by water, corn flour, and extra tomato puree. The percentage of visible protein, mozzarella and cheddar, has fallen by nearly 1/3, while cheap starches and thickening agents take up more space. A thicker sauce coats the pasta, masking the fact that there is less cheese and fewer solid bites in every tray. For anyone tracking their protein or looking for a filling meal, the difference is clear: about 30% less protein per portion compared to earlier versions. Price trackers and consumer groups like which have flagged this pattern across the value range. The pack looks familiar, and the price tag might only nudge up by a few pence, but what is inside has changed. shoppers are paying more for less food, with a meal that is heavier on fillers and lighter on nutrition. The only way to spot the difference is to check the weight, scan the ingredient list, and do the price per gram maths. It is a quiet erosion of value that hits both the wallet and the dinner plate, all while the packaging promises the same comfort meal as ever. In July 2025, a single factory in Ireland set off a wave of recalls across 4 of the United Kingdom's biggest supermarkets. Ballymaguire Foods, a major supplier of chilled ready meals, withdrew dozens of products after contamination was detected in one production line. Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, and Aldi all pulled ready meals from their shelves, ranging from cottage pies to chicken curries, after Food Standards Agency notices flagged potential health risks. The initial recall notice did not name the supplier, listing only batch codes and affected product lines. For days, shoppers had no way of knowing which factory was behind the warning, or if meals in their fridges were linked to the same facility as those recalled at rival supermarkets. This is the hidden side of the ready meal business. While packaging carries the Tesco name, the actual production is often handled by third-party manufacturers like Ballymaguire, Bakkavor, or Greencore. These companies operate vast facilities that churn out meals for multiple retailers, sometimes with only minor tweaks to the recipe or label. When a safety issue arises, whether contamination, undeclared allergens, or a hygiene breach, the impact can ripple across the entire high street in a matter of hours. The July 2025 recall alone involved over 30 different stock-keeping units, each with its own barcode, but all traced back to the same Irish site. The lack of supplier transparency leaves shoppers in the dark. Food Standards Agency recall. Alerts rely on batch codes and product names, rarely revealing the factory or company behind the meal. Even for those who check recall lists, tracing a product's journey from supermarket shelf to original source is nearly impossible. This opacity is not just inconvenient, it is a systemic risk. When one supplier's lapse can trigger multi-retailer recalls, it shows how interconnected and fragile the supply chain has become. The safest habit is to check batch codes on any recall notice and keep packaging until the meal is eaten. The real name behind a ready meal may never appear on the front, but the consequences of a hidden supply chain can affect every basket, no matter where you shop. In September 2025, Tesco issued an urgent recall for its stir-fry tikka chicken meal after the Food Standards Agency flagged a critical labeling error. The sauce sachet contained undeclared egg and mustard. For shoppers with allergies, this is not a technical glitch. It is a direct, immediate threat. The recall notice warned that even a single bite could trigger a severe allergic reaction, including anaphylaxis, within minutes. Ambulance call-outs for food allergy emergencies are rising across the UK, and the anaphylaxis campaign warns that the window between exposure and medical crisis can be terrifyingly short, sometimes less than 10 minutes from first symptoms to respiratory distress. The official Food Standards Agency alert was clear. Do not eat if you have an allergy to egg or mustard. Return the product to the store for a full refund. Tesco pulled the product from every store nationwide and activated point-of-sale notices, but many affected meals had already left the shelves before the recall went public. For families managing food allergies, the shock came not from a rare ingredient, but from the absence of a clear warning on the pack. Real-world A&E case notes document incidents where shoppers trusted the allergen box, only to discover too late that a key risk had been left off the label. Allergy experts and campaigners urge anyone at risk to keep packaging until the meal is finished and to check recall lists regularly. The safest protocol in an emergency is to administer adrenaline immediately and call 999. Waiting for symptoms to escalate can be fatal. For the average shopper, this recall may seem like a one-off. For those living with allergies, it is a reminder that even a familiar Tesco meal can carry hidden dangers. The only real protection is vigilance. Scan every ingredient list, double-check the allergen box, and never assume that what is safe today will be safe tomorrow. Tesco Lasagne al Forno stands as a clear example of ultra-processed food. Its ingredient list stretches past 25 items, far beyond what any home cook would use. Emulsifiers such as mono and diglycerides of fatty acids, modified maize starch, maltodextrin, yeast extract, and a host of E numbers appear throughout. Each additive is chosen for a specific technical reason: to bind water, stabilize sauces, mimic creamy textures, and keep the layers intact through transport and days in the fridge. The result is a meal engineered for longevity, able to sit on a shelf for nearly 2 weeks without losing its structure or sheen. Traditional lasagna calls for beef, pasta, tomato, and cheese. Here, beef is often relegated to 4th or 5th place, behind water, starches, and oils. The cheese topping is a blend of powders, stabilizers, and flavorings, crafted to melt evenly and stay soft after reheating. What lands on the plate is not just a meal, but a blend of industrial ingredients, each serving a functional role, none essential in a home kitchen. Large-scale studies, including those from the British Medical Journal and the World Health Organization, consistently link high intake of ultra-processed foods to increased rates of obesity, hypertension, and even depressive symptoms. United Kingdom cohort studies tracking tens of thousands of adults report a 20 to 30% higher risk of heart disease and early death among those consuming the most ultra-processed foods. The NOVA system, led by Professor Carlos Montero, offers a practical guide. A long list of additives, unfamiliar names, and E numbers signals a Group 4 product, ultra-processed by design. Tesco Lasagna al Forno's label is a case study in ultra-processed recognition. Count the additives, spot the modified starches, and look for flavor enhancers. The health risks may not be obvious at first glance, but the evidence continues to grow. Look closely at ingredient lists because the problem is often what is hidden inside. Tesco's ready meal aisle looks harmless, affordable, and easy. But look closer, and one ingredient keeps turning up as a silent problem. Salt is hiding in plain sight, and it changes what convenience really costs. Action on Salt's 2025 survey lays it out in stark numbers. Several Tesco ready meals deliver over 5 grams of salt in a single portion. That is 100% or more of the NHS adult daily maximum, all in one tray. Popular lines including curries, breaded chicken, and premium lasagna appear in a lineup that hits or exceeds a full daily limit per serving. Some items, such as Tesco Finest Chicken Parmigiana, clock in at 5.1 grams per portion. A few curries and pasta bakes run even higher, topping 5.3 grams. These are not rare outliers. They are among Tesco's most popular lines, and they turn up in weekly meal deals and family dinners. Reformulation has barely moved in years. Between 2014 and 2025, the average salt content in Tesco ready meals fell by less than 0.03 grams per 100 grams. That is essentially a rounding error, not real progress. 55% of Tesco ready meals still sit in the high salt category, according to Action on Salt's analysis. Many products meet the government's maximum target, but that target is so loose that meals containing a full day's salt still pass the test. Professor Graham McGregor and his team at Action on Salt say that voluntary promises are not enough, and that without mandatory targets, the industry is not cutting salt at the scale needed. Salt is not just a number on the back of the pack. High daily intake raises blood pressure, increases the risk of heart attacks and strokes, and quietly adds to the burden on the health service. For people who rely on ready meals more than once a week, the concern is cumulative. It is not a single dinner. It is a steady, hidden load that adds up meal after meal. The data are public, and the risks are proven. When a single portion can max out your daily salt, convenience comes at a cost you may not see until it is too late. Across all 8 findings, one truth stands out. Convenience comes with hidden costs. Whether it's excess salt, ultra-processed ingredients, or unclear sourcing, the risks are baked into the system, not just the product. Ready meals aren't shortcuts to safety or health. They are reminders to read beyond the label. In today's food landscape, informed choices are your real protection. Share your experiences below and subscribe for more investigations.